There's only 20 minutes left before the Beatles go on stage, and you haven't got a ticket.
I'm going!
You better use your head, your lungs, your legs, your shoulders, your father's car, and anything you've got. I want to hold your hand. Rated PG.
Look at that. Quick show of hands. Had anyone here not seen that movie before? A few. Okay, so first timers. We're going to ask a couple of you guys to come up and ask questions as soon as I bring up, for me, the star of the movie, Richard Ringo Klaus. Bring him back up here. Eddie. Give it up for Eddie. Come on. How great was that? How great was that? You know, Eddie, one of the things I'm one of those guys loves to read the credits and see who was in, and of course we all know, Robert Zemeckis is in.
Yes, the best director I ever worked with.
Best director.
He's a genius.
I saw him last week, actually. Seriously, at Lincoln Center, they do the movies where they have the orchestra playing along.
Right,
and
yes.
Back to the Future
was
playing, and Bob Zemeckis was there.
Yes.
And of course, Steven Spielberg.
Seriously?
No, he wasn't there. No, I'm saying, for this movie, Spielberg is producing. And one of the things I noticed at the end where it said, the Beatles footage on Sullivan, courtesy of Ed Sullivan Enterprises.
Yes.
Anyone know what that costs today? That they loaned that for free?
Millions.
When you see the Beatles on Sullivan on TV, I can tell you this. The last quote that I got when we wanted to use it for something was $5,000 per second.
Seriously? Oh my God.
Per second.
For any Ed Sullivan show or the Beatles?
For the Beatles.
Oh, the Beatles, okay.
And
probably for Elvis too, I guess.
Probably.
Yeah.
And you guys remember Mad Men? Not too long ago, right? They
sure.
paid the most.
John Hamm, yeah.
Yeah, they paid the most ever for use of a Beatles song for less than 2 minutes. Cost them $250,000.
What was the song?
They used. Who can tell? Beatles expert Eddie. Tomorrow never knows.
Okay, that's great trivia. I got one. Okay, all the Beatles geniuses. What's the historical inaccuracy in that movie? Does anybody know? Yes.
I think George would not have been there because George didn't go to the rehearsals because he was sick.
No, they did that. They said George was sick. Well, they did it in Central Park.
They went to the rehearsal and he shouldn't have been. He stayed in his room all the time, and Neil was the stand-in. Neil passed all the time.
You're exactly right.
In the room.
You're exactly right. There's another one. Oh, go ahead. What's yours?
There's a couple. I got one or two. Well, the Beatles opened and closed the show.
Yes, the Beatles were the opening act too. They don't hold it on until they opened and they closed the show.
And here's one for you. I'm not sure who else might know this one.
Right.
But the song they were all singing outside, "We Love You, Beatles," doesn't come out for about a month after
Seriously?
that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Trivia.
Now, speaking of trivia,
yes, sir.
I'm going to do this in front of a very esteemed audience here.
All right.
One of my roles here, Eddie, I host the Beatles trivia
contest
go ahead.
here. I got to go with you.
I want you to come.
Anybody can get mine. I'll give you $5.
When we do the trivia contest tomorrow, you are hereby cordially invited.
I want to be in. Thank you.
Yes,
What's the prize? What's the prize?
The prize is you will be there. That's the prize. Let's see what time is tomorrow. Trivia tomorrow is at 3:45 in the afternoon.
Okay.
In the ballroom right out there. I want you to come.
Please come get me. I would love to.
Absolutely.
Okay. I can give a couple now if you want. Or do I fire them in the trivia contest?
Do you want to ask them?
Or okay. I can ask a couple.
Ask a couple. Let's see what we got.
Okay. Who were the only two women to play on Beatle records? Does anybody know that?
There's a couple. To play or to sing?
To play instruments.
Play instruments?
Yes.
Well, there's the harpist.
Yes.
From Shirley.
Yeah. No. You're close.
I know her. Yeah.
You're right.
Yes. The harp player.
Sheila
Bromberg.
Yes. Sheila Bromberg, and there's one other one. Sheila Bromberg played on She's Leaving Home. She played the harp. Yeah. And then the other one.
I'm trying to think. Yoko is. Her voice is on several.
No, this is the instrument.
Linda is on there. Some of the Mike Sam singers are singers. I'm trying to think. Hold on. Wow, he's stumping Tom in front of the whole. Whoa!
I've been doing this for 50 years.
To play on a Beatles.
Yes, played instruments. Yes.
Played instruments on a Beatles record. We have the harpist Sheila Bromberg, and
it's very tough.
It is tough.
You want a clue?
Yes, of course.
The cello.
Oh, She's a cellist on what, Walrus?
Yes.
Okay.
Her name was Joy Hall. A lady named Joy Hall was with the cello people on Walrus. Yeah.
Beatles
Yeah.
expert trivia
Yes.
maven, Eddie.
Yes. Anybody
Okay.
that knows, I'll give you $5. I'll fire one more, then we'll get to the Q&A. How about, okay, who's the only woman ever paid to help write a Beatles song?
Paid to help.
Write a Beatles song. She helped with the composing the song.
Is she credited as a composer?
No, she's not credited,
credited.
but it's verified that she was paid.
Ivan Vaughn's wife, Michelle.
Okay, I thought it was Jan though. Isn't it Jan? But that's fair. Who got that? I'll give you $5. You didn't
that's
look
a
it up,
good-
right? You didn't look it up on your phone?
Now,
Okay,
Eddie,
I'll give you $5.
seems
They
like
got
you
the question very square.
seems like you like the ones about the ladies. What's the only Beatles song, okay,
Yes.
that has a girl's
I'll give you $5.
that has a girl's name in the title
Okay.
where they don't mention the girl's name in the lyrics?
Great song. Great-
Hold on. Let's give Eddie a.
Okay, don't tell me.
So it's clearly not Michelle.
Right, it's not
Okay, yeah.
Michelle.
Yeah, let's give the champ a shot here. He took me down already, so I had to.
They're smart.
Hold
You're
on.
better than me. No, I have to concede. Who is it, ma'am? Oh, very good. Very
Yeah,
good.
that's a good one.
Excellent. Very
Yeah,
good.
no, we have
Okay.
loads of that for lined up tomorrow.
Don't look on your phones, please. I know you can look up, but don't do it. It ruins the game. $5 more. What's the food most commonly mentioned in Beatles songs?
The food
Yes.
most commonly mentioned in Beatles,
In Beatles songs. Any food? No.
Well,
No.
would it be tea?
No. That's it. Who said honey? Honey's it.
Honey, there you
Honey's
go.
been mentioned 14 times, and I'll give you $5. That was exactly right.
Wow. All right, so I want to talk about this movie.
Okay.
What I want is for anybody who has a question for Eddie about the movie.
Or
Come on
anything.
up. Come
Yes,
on
please.
up. I'll give you the mic. You tell us who you are, where you're from, and we'll let you.
If not, we'll
talk.
go to bed. I'm tired. Yeah. Or if you do want a last minute picture or a DVD, Denise and I are still signing. If you want to do that, but if
That'd
not,
be
we
great.
will go to bed. We're tired.
Well, I have loads of questions about the movie.
Please,
so,
go ahead.
So
Anything.
you're clearly a major fan.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Take us. I guess the simplest question I could ask is, how does this happen? How do you get in this movie?
It was the most auditions I ever had for a movie. I auditioned 9 times.
Really?
It was, yeah, Zemeckis, Spielberg, Bob Gale, and I auditioned 9 times, and we just hit it off, We just went back and forth, and I auditioned 9 times, and I got it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Watching this not quite 50 years later.
Right.
Does it feel like a home movie, like that was me? I mean, what does that feel like watching it on the big screen?
Right. That's a great question.
In a room
Kind of-
full of people who are loving it.
Kind of, yeah. I felt I was thinner. I thought it was pretty funny, and it was so long ago, But in a way, it's that's life. It seems like yesterday. The years just go by. I was 20, and now I'm 68, and it seems like it was yesterday. I remember going to the set, seeing everybody, and it was a fun movie to shoot. But it's you. It's kind of like it's just like your mind. You think about when you were a baby, and that's me in there. It's me. I'm the same spirit exactly, but my body got older. But that's me. All those gags. Spitting out the glass. That was my gag.
Yeah.
Hey, you crazy broad. That was my gag. They let me ad lib. They were very free. They let me ad lib a lot.
Did they?
Stephen and Bob let me yell.
Very
And the one joke I did that's used a lot now. This is the first time this joke was used, I think, or a variation. The one where they go in the room. Steven Spielberg and I used to walk the hallways, and we would bat around ideas for the movie. And I go, okay, how about if I get in the room and he goes, hey, you little shithead, and I go, who you calling little? In other words, he gets upset at the wrong word. He gets upset at the adverb instead of the adjective or whatever.
See?
And Steven laughed, and he said, hey, Bob, Eddie's got this joke, and I used it. I think that's the first time that joke was used. And I think variations have been used over the years.
I might have to ask you to repeat that story because I got lost at. Well, Steven Spielberg and I are walking down the hall, and
He was the
that's
executive producer.
That's a
yeah.
great sentence.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That's a great
Yes.
sentence.
He was a wonderful, great guy. Yes, sir.
I bet. Now, let me ask you this: 1977.
Yes.
I know where I was, and you guys can do the math later. I was in high school, and I was a budding Beatles fan. I'm
Right.
learning about them. I'm buying my first set of records. The Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl was kind of a big thing.
Yes.
Wings were enormous.
Yes. Yes.
What when they sat you down to tell you about this movie, did it seem like, why would we do this? Or did it seem to everybody like, this is a great idea?
It was great. I think it was the first Beatles film. It might have been the first film about the Beatles. It might have been. There might have been another one, but it was one of the first or the first.
Yeah.
The Beatles hadn't reached, the Beatles are now on the level of Shakespeare, Da Vinci, they're historically.
Of course.
At this point in time, they were the biggest group ever, but this is a terrible, sad thing, but it's true. It's a horrible thing I'm going to say. It really started after John passed away. And that's where it all went through the roof.
Well,
and they go, these guys, and that's where the Beatles, we know it nowadays. That, these guys are beyond Elvis. They're the biggest thing ever.
Obviously,
or they're with Elvis. They're
1980, they go from being a band that broke up to being true history.
Exactly. Because we knew they'll never go back together.
That was the point. Who here attended a fest, a Beatle fest, before 1980?
Oh, yes.
A bunch, okay.
I used to go all the time.
None of these conversations that we do in the rooms, none of the conversations we have on the stage ever ended with any question other than, do you think they'll get back together?
Yes.
Or some variation.
Yeah.
Should they get back together?
Right,
do
exactly.
you want them to get back together? But it was always a possibility.
Yes.
Did that thought come up like, well, geez, if they come back together, this is just a TV appearance, a very big one that they did, but it wouldn't be the story anymore.
No, I didn't think that at all. No,
Okay.
I was just hopeful, we love them. I thought no matter how, if they get back together at that time, I thought it'll be anticlimactic. No matter how good they are, they'll never be able to be as good as they were.
That's
It's just not possible. They couldn't live up to our expectations,
No,
it's kind of the myth is intact forever. We have this beautiful act, through 1969 that's there forever.
And yet, in 2025, they won a Grammy Award.
Yes, yeah. Oh, they still keep rolling along.
Yeah,
and the books will keep selling, And the trivia. How about this one? I never knew that. Ringo's never tasted pizza. How about that? Ringo Starr's never tasted pizza. Great trivia, and I just found it out like 2 weeks ago. Ringo said it in an interview.
Yeah, he was on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah,
and he
never eaten
that
pizza.
up.
He said he's never tried curry. He's never eaten pizza.
Yeah, because of his allergies.
Exactly.
He's got a bunch of
He
allergies.
has a very bad stomach.
Yeah. So look, we were talking about it's a great year. It's always a great year, but this year particularly, with only 3 months in, we've had Ringo with a chart-topping country album.
Yes.
We've had Paul doing shows in New York, pop-ups. He did Saturday Night Live. They win a Grammy.
Yes.
And here we are. We're still doing this.
Yeah.
This far down the road.
We're insatiable. We never get sick of them.
We never do.
Yeah, totally.
We never do.
It's like the people get tired of reading Shakespeare. Do you get tired of listening to Beethoven? Do you get tired of looking at Da Vinci in a museum? It's immortal. It's great art. The music is so wonderful. And the story, besides the music, the story is so wonderful. We all know the great story. Pete Best was fired, and this happened. And they grew the long hair, and it's just such a cool story.
Yeah,
it came together.
Yeah, I mean the story itself. We've said this on Sirius XM. You couldn't write that story as a novel and sell it to someone. They'd say, no, this could never happen.
Too ridiculous.
How could two kids from a working class town, how could they blend voices like angels like that and write these songs? It's inconceivable. How many things had to go right in even just 1962, changing drummers and things like that.
And band members would fall off. There were different, all through the years. And the four geniuses kind of stayed. Paul and John never left. They were the core of it.
Well, let me ask you, do you play an instrument? Have you played in a band?
No, never. I faked the flutophone for 4 years in school. We faked the flutophone, and I would puff my lips and fake. I didn't know what I was doing. I faked guitar for a year. I didn't know what I was doing.
No, I asked that because you bring up a great point. Like every band, who here has ever been in a band, members come and go. And this is the story of, it's like a four-headed beast. John, Paul, George, and Ringo. It's one word. John, Paul, George, and Ringo. There are no other bands you say that about. What other bands do you name?
Exactly. The only
for?
one was Monkeys. All four. That's the kind of trick.
Yeah, but it's vernacular at this point. John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
Right, exactly. And they were thinking of when they came back from Hamburg, that first trip. John said, I sat alone, and he said, I was thinking, should I end the band? He was thinking, you'll never living with the guitar and all that.
Yeah.
But he made us, no, let's stick with it, let's go on. But if he could have decided that, it could all end then.
Well, you know what? Speaking of things that could have ended, and speaking, about 1980 with John, is Mark here? There he is, Mark Lapidus up front, the guy who puts it all together.
Oh, yes, please. I want to thank Mark and Carol Lapidus. I so apologize for having me here. They're the nicest couple in the world, and I so love them so much.
And
thank you so much for having me.
You know, Mark, last year for the 60th anniversary, I had Mark, well, on this stage, but over at the TWA hotel. And he told the story. He said, you know, when that happened, that awful thing, we had our you know, look in the mirror and said, should we do this anymore? And the answer was a resounding, not should we. We have to do this.
I guess so, yeah.
We have to do this.
Yeah.
Because look, here we are 60 years later, and it's still happening, right?
Well, you know what's funny? The guy, I saw you know, I was interviewed earlier with all those great authors. I read a lot of their books. The one guy had the book, What If? And I was thinking, what if Stu Sutcliffe had never grown his hair long like that? What if the Beatles just had regular guy, you know, they kept the grease back and all, and they had the same music? Would it have caused the same effect? Would it have changed the world so much? You know?
What If has been great barroom banter for Beatle fans.
What if, okay, how about, what if Yoko went to Paul first? She knocks on Paul's door. I wanted to get, you know, can I give you some, can you write something for a music or something?
For one of the sponsors
of
one of our shows.
He said, go to John. Yeah, he's the one that's in the, what if Paul had just did it for her, you know, and she'd never met John, and she'd just gone away.
No, there
the
were
whole
so
world,
many.
the whole thing would have changed.
I was telling David Bedford, the guy who wrote the book.
Yes, I love his book. He wrote a great book.
Well, he wrote also What If, the new book.
Yes.
And I've known David for years. He's a wonderful guy. And I said, I have to tell you this. When I was asked to audition for Sirius XM, that's what they did. They gave me a what if. They posited it as, well, Tom, you've written this book called What If, and you know, one of the things you said was it would have been better if the White Album came out as a single album. This was all just staged and not on the air. This was just to see that I wouldn't drag my co-host's mothers into the conversation or whatever. And I said, you know, and I remember saying, well, let's get one thing straight. I think the White Album's fine just the way it is. But sure, let's talk about, you know, not so much what you'd cut from the White Album, but what you'd keep. And it's a very different conversation.
You're right. You're right.
No, because I mean, I remember we talked about, like, I said, okay, the previous album, George had one song. If George is only getting one song, well, look, I love Savoy Truffle. I love Piggies. I love Long, Long, Long.
That's my least favorite Beatles song. I'm sorry. That's my least favorite Beatles song.
There's While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Yes.
That's going to be the one you keep. And
yes.
The first three.
Well, you know what? I like Savoy Truffle. I enjoy Savoy Truffle.
Now, Long,
but you're right. He got beyond his quota. And he had three in the, what was it, Revolver?
We had 3 on Revolver,
But usually the quota was, they will, you know, it's kind of almost, we'll give George one to placate him, you know. And then Abbey Road, he goes through the roof, but it was the end, you know.
So, you know, those are the kind of things we all revel in. Of course, there's no right or wrong answer. There's no right or wrong answer.
It's part of the fun of the Beatles. There's a million games you can play.
One of the what ifs was, what if they didn't come to America and play Sullivan? Would they have made the impact? Who knows? What if they didn't break up? What if they didn't stop touring? What if the White Album was a single album?
Exactly.
What if Yoko knocking on Paul's door led to something, he sponsored the art show. What would have happened?
Exactly.
These are all great.
What if they said with Pete Best? What if George Martin
what if they
said,
didn't change drummers?
What if Pete Best, oh, well, the drummer's not that good, but maybe he'll improve. Let's keep him. They never heard from Ringo.
Or like most rock bands of the day, do whatever you want to do with them on stage. But in the studio, Hal Blaine will come in, or Andy White will come in, or you know, or somebody like that.
Yes, that was the other. They had these 4 geniuses of the 80s, and the 5th genius, George Martin.
Of course.
And he was a totally nice guy.
Of course.
You know, you can do this, but if they had a more strict producer, it might not work.
No,
John might have got fed up and said, "I'm not going to work with this freaking guy." Anything could happen.
This is our band. I mean,
it
that still happens. And Billy Joel tells the story, right? When his album started to break in the mid-70s, his first couple didn't sell very well because the producers wouldn't let him use his own band. He said, you know why Turnstiles was such a great record? Because Phil Ramone said, use your band. I've signed you because I've seen this band that fills your sound. I want Liberty DeVito playing the drums.
I gotcha.
You know, and no, you have to trust the art at some point. You just do. You just do. Now, Eddie, there have been many other great movies we've seen you in.
Thank you.
Grease.
You're very kind. Thank you.
Melvin. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
War Games. So many. I know this is like asking an artist, well, what's the favorite one of your songs you've recorded? And they all use the same answer. It's like trying to pick your favorite kid, or ask, which finger do you want me to cut off? Which one could I do? Where does this one stand in your?
This is my best performance because I love Bob Zemeckis. My best performances are two: this and Polar Express. And Bob Zemeckis directed both of them.
Yeah.
Bob Zemeckis is my greatest director. He sends me a Christmas card every day. He said it wrong. He goes, Eddie, my brother. He put it on the card. I go, no, he's my father. I consider him like a father.
Yeah.
He's such a wonderful guy. And Steven Spielberg's the greatest. You know, Steven Spielberg is like being driven in a Rolls Royce. You know, he's the greatest director in the world. But Bob was better for me. You know, my kind of wacky comedy. Steven is great, but doing a whole comedy is not necessarily his thing. He'll have comedy moments in his film. You know, Gertie sees E.T. and screams, and those are funny. But a whole movie of 2 hours of comedy is not really. He's better at telling a story. You know, great drama. And Bob can do a comedy more. You know.
Well, like I say, some of the things Zemeckis has done. I mean, Back to the Future is sticking in my head because I just saw it on a big screen last week with a live orchestra.
Right.
I mean, it was pretty crazy.
Yes.
But he came out with Alan Silvestri. The
I love Alan. Yes, he did Polar Express too. He does all Bob's films.
They all work together.
Yes.
And they hit on some kind of formula, almost like those two kids from Liverpool.
Right. Yes.
Almost.
Absolutely.
Right? Questions for Eddie? Come on up. I got the mic here, but it's your mic too. So come on up. Come on up so this way everyone can hear the question. Ladies first. Okay. Tell everybody your name, where you're from, and then fire away.
Hi, Doris from Freehold, New Jersey.
I remember you.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Doris.
So since you are such a big Beatles fan and you did a lot of ad-libbing in the movie, how much are you playing yourself in the movie?
I would say that I just got asked that today. I would say it's about 50-50. I stretched it, I wouldn't jump through the door like that and all that, but that's how much I love the Beatles. That's how much they've been to my life. Since I started in '64 when they came on Sullivan, I've never got tired of them. Seeing all the movies, I've read over 1,000 books on them. I love it. It's my joy. I am such a Beatles fan. You won't believe this, but I swear to God, you know what book I'm going to buy, the book I'm most excited about, and you won't believe this in a million years, because it's a new one. I'm going to buy, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to buy the Yoko Ono book, because it's a new book, and I want to read the part about John. I love John so much, and Yoko, I don't hate her, but I try to understand her. I love John, and I go, what did he see? And for 40, 50 years, I've been trying to see, what exactly did he see in her? What was the magic? He didn't love her. He worshipped her. He loved her more than any man's ever loved a woman. He just idolized her. See, I believe in past lives. That's what I believe is the explanation. I think they knew each other in past lives. That's the only way to explain it.
Wow, it's a great question and a great answer.
Sorry to get metaphysical on you, but
now,
that's what I believe.
We do on the Beatles channel, we do a show called Apple Jam, where we play Badfinger and Mary Hopkins.
Badfinger's great, yes.
And a lot of Yoko records. And there's been kind of this renaissance of people and artists who have said she was a big influence on our writing. And there's
on the Beatles writing.
No, on current artists, where they were influenced by it. Not so much things like the Plastic Ono Band album, very avant-garde, very freeform. Right. But when she starts, call it, writing in a more traditional form on her double albums on Apple, people are saying, wait a minute, let's give that another spin. So she's gotten a lot of great attention there. My favorite, I try to listen to all her songs. The best thing she ever did, I think her best voice is the Christmas song. So This Is Christmas. Of course, she sings on that, and she has a beautiful voice. She sounds like a beautiful woman singing. I liked, right out of the gate, the B-side of Give Peace a Chance, right? Remember Love. Very gentle, very sweet. Yes. And then we got bombarded with that Plastic Ono Band album. It was like, wait a minute, what are we listening to? And sometime in New York City. Oh my God, and then it went to this, like, she's written in traditional form. Right. And there's some really, really well-written songs. Well, I want to be fair. I enjoyed Grapefruit. I like reading Grapefruit. I thought, and then I burned, you burn it after I burned it, but I enjoyed it. I thought, okay, she's kind of a clever poet. It was kind of a different kind of poetry. So there is an artist there. And some of her art, I've seen her art, she's kind of a good artist. Yeah, it's just, the singing is not that, her voice is just very unconventional. It's not resonant for you. Yeah. But Grapefruit, by the way, all right, Eddie Deezen, Beatles expert. Yes, sir. How do I phrase this in a question? But did you know, I guess it's a yes or no question, John signed a band to Apple Records and named them Grapefruit. Yes, yeah, we play some of that on Apple Jam as well. So that's cool stuff. We had another question coming from the floor. That's a great shirt, sir. That really is. I used to watch it every week, Beatles cartoons, yes.
The Beatles cartoons were my favorite growing up. And John Lennon's favorite too. I found out recently.
You like watching the cartoons?
You like watching the Beatles cartoons?
The voices didn't sound anything like them.
It was a funny little cartoon, and it was the Beatles. My name's David. I'm from New York City, right across the Hudson.
Oh, cool.
I've been to the Ed Sullivan Theater a few times, and my question to you is, what theater was that filmed in? Because it didn't really look like.
No, it was in Hollywood. I think it was the Hollywood Palace Theater. We were in there, where they filmed. I don't know if it's called the Hollywood Palace. It's on Ivar, Hollywood and Ivar, and there was a little theater there by the library. I think it was called the Hollywood Palace. It's some kind of name like that, but it's probably gone now. But that's where we filmed it.
Did you study method acting?
No, not at all. No. I had 4 lessons, and then I had 4 lessons from another lady, and that was it.
You were fantastic. We loved
Thank
it.
you. You're very kind. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
More questions for Eddie. Bring them on up. Come on. I've already invited him to play trivia tomorrow. That's going to be fun.
I want to play, yeah.
I'm going to come get you.
Because I love to learn new stuff. I love to
I'm
learn
going
new
to come
music.
get you. You'll look at this book and go, oh my God, this guy has too much time on his hands.
Here's a lovely lady.
Okay, another question for you. Tell everybody your name and where you're from, and talk to Eddie.
I'm Danelle from Parsippany. What's the most Beatlemaniac thing you've ever done?
Okay, I touched Paul. We were, okay, when I was doing a TV show called Punky Brewster, there was a guy called George Haynes on the show. Eddie, how are you? Eddie, very distinguished, big guy, nice, super nice guy. Eddie, I heard you love the Beatles. Yeah, he said, I've got 2 tickets to see Paul McCartney on The Tonight Show. So we went to see him on The Tonight Show. October 23rd, 1984, Paul McCartney was the guest. So I went with my friend there. So we go crazy, it's Paul McCartney. Da-da. So after the show, it was like a hard day's night. There were like 200 of us ran outside. A little sports car comes out. Paul McCartney's driving a sports car. Now this I'm not sure. I think Linda was in the passenger seat, but that's not gospel. But Paul was driving. He was there. He's seen this 10,000 times. So he rolled down his window and I touched his shoulder.
All right.
So I touched the Beatle. I literally touched Paul. That's my coolest moment.
I've touched the shoulder that has touched the shoulder. Look
Yes,
at that.
sir. Well, I touched the shoulder, they touched the shoulder, they touched the... Never mind. Don't get carried away.
A lot of
All right.
shoulder touching
Yes.
going on here.
I
Let
touched
me
the
ask you a
shoulder.
little trivia
No, let me
question.
finish the story,
Okay, go
please.
ahead.
There's just one part. I touched the shoulder, so I touched Paul. Then he had to go away, so he's driving real slowly, okay? I felt a weight like an elephant crushing my foot. Smack. I think he drove over my foot. I think his car drove over my foot real slowly. It was a sports car. It just hit the tip of my shoe, and it was a light little car. It is possible.
But
and
it's
I think
still a
McCartney,
car.
Yeah, McCartney drove over my foot. Now here's my other Paul McCartney story. This is 100% true. Paul McCartney was interviewed by my friend Joe Pope. Joe Pope.
We love Joe Pope.
Yes. Joe Pope had the greatest Beatles magazine called Strawberry Fields Forever. The greatest Beatles magazine ever. I love Joe. But he interviewed Paul, and he goes, Paul, did you ever see a movie called I Want to Hold Your Hand? And Paul McCartney goes, and the answer come back. And the answer come back. So Paul McCartney did me.
Wow.
Paul McCartney did me. I swear to God, he did me. I'm not kidding.
There we
That's
go.
true. That's a true story.
That's actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you. Did you guys ever get feedback?
Okay, I heard that.
Real time, like in 77, 78.
Right. Paul. Yes.
What did they think?
I don't know if it was 77, 78. I think it was later, but Paul did see it. He did the impression like that.
Yeah.
George, they asked George about the movie, and they go, do you like any of the Beatles movies? And he goes, I like the Ringo Klaus one. I like the Ringo Klaus movie.
right.
George said that, I swear to God. Now, Ringo, I've heard ambivalent stories. I heard one story that the ladies that produced it, Tamara Asayev and Alexandra Rose, they said they screened it for Paul and Ringo and they both liked it. But I heard another story, Ringo saw it and he said, I can't believe that Spielberg's involved in that terrible film. He
Oh,
didn't
my
like
God.
it. So it could be either way with Ringo, I'm ambivalent.
Could be.
He's so nice now, I don't think Ringo would ever say, he's just such a sweet guy now.
Yeah.
So I think he would never say something like that publicly, but maybe years ago he said that.
Yeah, could have been having a bad day.
Yeah,
Who knows?
yeah.
So let me ask you this. You did mention you saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yes,
Okay,
I watched
so,
it. Sorry girls, he's married.
Sorry girls, he's
Yes.
married.
Yes.
Whereas the road will say, sorry girls, he's engaged.
Yes, right.
But, all right, so how old were you when that comes out?
I was
You were a kid.
seven
All right,
years
so
old.
7.
I wasn't even 7, in fact, it was before I was 6.
All right. I mean, it's too obvious a question to say, gee, when you were 7, did you ever think you'd be doing a movie about it? Of course you didn't. But let me ask you in reverse. When you were hired to do this movie, it's not like today where you could say, well, let me go get my DVD of the Sullivan shows and go relive this and get in the right, frame of mind. What did you draw on to kind of feel what the mania was
Just
about?
my goofy character. I was a goofball in high school. I was a class clown. I
No.
did the band in high school.
No.
And I jumped up and clicked my heels and I did a pratfall and the auditorium went nuts. You had to be there.
I guess
But they
so.
called me up on stage, who wants to conduct the band, and they had it fixed. And they go, who's sitting in seat 16G? And they knew it was me. They called me up and they said, what song? And I said, pick the song. I go, can you play Pop Goes the Weasel? And they played it and I jumped around, and I jumped up high and clicked my heels and fell on the ground, and it brought the house down. And then I had a crush on this girl, okay? And then after that show, I realized this is the power of showbiz. I come out and all the girls were around me, and the girl I had a crush on, I saw her look. It was like a great movie. She's looking on them, all these girls are surrounding me, and the girl I was in love with, nothing ever happened with her, but it was a great moment. But all the girls were around me, and she, you know, I go, oh, maybe she'll see I'm a cool guy, you know. But
And yet, when we were in high school, when we had the crush, we also learned how to play the guitar, for God's
yeah,
sake.
well, that's beyond me.
Didn't work either.
Yeah, you got to be
Didn't work
cool.
here either.
Yeah. I had no musical ear, and you got to be cool, you know, to be in a band.
Yeah,
So
no, I couldn't play the radio. Never mind
Yeah.
play the guitar back then. But I got better. Yeah. So this comes out, and you know, fans liked it. Critics liked it. There was some really good reviews.
Yes.
But it kind of just got stuck. Like it wasn't this blockbuster thing.
no, you're right. In fact, it was kind of the inverse of what you say. The critics did like it. It got great reviews. Time magazine, Siskel and Ebert liked it.
Yeah.
But it bombed at the box office. It just tanked.
Yeah, but
and it was
I
low
think- I
budget.
think
It was low budget, and
They
it tanked.
stayed away because I know anyone I know who saw it
Yeah.
really liked it.
Exactly.
I
People
mean,
did
yeah.
like it, but it just
just
didn't go
didn't
with
get
the
the
public.
buzz. I
Yeah.
wonder why. I mean,
it never
it's-
clicked, and you know, you never think you're making a bomb. I think, oh my God, I'm in this movie Spielberg's produced. You know, you think, oh, I'm on easy, and that happened with 1941, the same thing.
Yeah.
1940, oh my God, I'm in a movie with Spielberg and John Belushi, and then
Yeah.
it tanked at the box office.
And now, of
it
course,
breaks your heart. You
Some
know?
of the your castmates, Teresa Saldana, and all
had the
them.
tragedy. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
and-
Teresa.
But a lot of them went on to make some really big
Yeah.
shows and
Oh,
have a lot
sure.
of success. Do you keep in touch with anyone? from
No,
there?
Susan Kendall Newman. is this her only film? I was wondering about
Jeez,
that.
I have no idea.
If you don't know, that was Paul Newman's daughter. Susan Kendall Newman, the tall girl, was
Oh,
Paul
really?
Newman. He
I
came
didn't
to
know
the set one day, and I wasn't there. Paul friggin' Newman. I love Paul Newman. He came to visit the set, but I didn't get to see him. I wasn't there.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Tell us, you know, a typical day on the set. Were they trying to decide what Beatles songs do we play? Or, I mean, the choreography at the end where we're seeing the Beatles on Sullivan.
Right.
And in the background, you know, the guitar players are moving at the exact same.
But you know who, like Tom Hanks, we were doing Polar Express, and every day on Polar Express I'd have time to talk to Tom Hanks, and he goes, oh, you were great in the movie, I want to hold. No, he said, he didn't even say that, but he said, I want to hold your hand. So, oh my God, Tom Hanks, what's he getting? And he goes, you know, it was cool the way they faked the Beatles. They had
Yeah.
the fake Beatles, and they did, that was the scene he
It
was impressed
was
by.
great. No,
He said
that
it with
was-
Grease. He goes, oh, remember Grease? And he goes, oh, what's he gonna, does he like my scenes? And he goes, I like when John and Olivia go off in the car at the end. He said,
Yeah.
that was so cool, they fly off in that car. That's what he liked. So,
I think we have another question coming on up. Well, you're back. Come back up. What'd you think of?
I love this movie so much, and I love the scene where you're swinging from the ceiling.
Yes.
Are you really swinging from the ceiling? or is
yes,
that trick
it was a lot
photography?
more than that. They actually had to put, my hands were cut up and bloody. They put white adhesive tape on my hands, and I did a lot of things. That was just a minuscule part of my swinging, but I swung over and over and over. And Bob was so nice. He goes, I didn't want to do it, and he goes, who loves Eddie? And then they all applauded, and I kept doing it. But I swung over and over and over. Yeah. Yes.
That was incredible. You didn't use your official Beatle talcum powder for that.
No, I don't. Somebody asked me that earlier. I don't know if that was real. Was that just fake? I don't know.
No,
they said, was that
they
real
had-
talcum powder?
Yeah, there was.
That was real Beatles talcum powder in
Oh,
that?
I don't know if that was real in the movie, but there was such a thing for sure.
By the
Hey,
way,
look, it's Mark Lapidus.
Mark Lapidus is the star, and he's the greatest guy in the world. I apologize that we're up so late. Please forgive me.
Yes.
I'm in bed by 9 o'clock, Mark, every night. I can't believe I'm up this late.
Well, this will be the last question because we
Yes, sir. Okay,
gotta
whatever you want,
Change
Mark.
the room around.
Sure.
You just mentioned about a minute ago that it was a low-budget film.
Yes.
And yet, you used all Beatles music.
Yeah.
If you use 2 seconds of the music, as Tom said, $240,000.
That's a great question.
So how did that happen?
I don't know. I think the budget, Mark, I thought the budget, maybe I'm wrong. You could look it up on IMDb. I thought the budget was $2.1 million. I thought it was that low. There were no stars in it. You know, all 7 of us were unknown.
Was that really so low in
I think it was.
1977,
I think it
78?
was, at most, yeah, I thought it was 2.1 million.
That's a decent
yeah.
amount.
And even with that low budget, it still bombed. I mean, you think it would have made some kind of money, but it must have tanked so bad to not even make $2 million. Yeah.
Anyway, let's thank Eddie Deezen
Yes,
for being here.
thank you so much.
Tom
Thank
did
you.
a wonderful
Yes.
job tonight,
Yes.
as usual.
Yes, sir. And I know it is late. If you do want a last minute picture, Denise and I will be here. If you don't want it, I totally understand because I know it's late. It is. It's
He'll
so
be here
late.
tomorrow and Sunday.
Yes, we'll be signing
Thank
it
you.
tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And Eddie's going to play trivia with us tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm gonna
at
play.
3:45.
I 100%.
I'm going to get the hook and get you
Yes,
in there. We're going to have
absolutely.
some fun with
Thank
that.
you so
Oh,
much.
that's going
Thank
to be
you.
great. Eddie
Thank you.
Deezen,
It's
give
great.
it up.
Thank you
This
so
is-
much.
Bring it in. Now go get some sleep.